Today, we're going to dive into my $63,294.45 dividend portfolio. We're going to look at the holdings, the current dividend income this portfolio is pushing out, and talk about some of the changes that I think I need to make moving forward. Let's start here in my dividend dashboard. And here in the top left-hand corner, you're going to see that total portfolio value that I just mentioned. And what we know is that this value is going to continue to fluctuate each day as the stock prices go up and down. So I don't really pay too much mind to that. But what's most exciting to me is the annual dividend income. And I have got this little gauge here to show me just where I'm at. And you can see I've actually set a goal of $5,000 in annual dividend income. The needle is slowly inching closer to the green. And of course, once I hit the $5,000 goal, I'm going to be raising the bar. But given that I just started dividend investing a little bit over a year ago, I'm feeling pretty good about the progress overall. You can see in the last 3 months, our overall value has increased from $52,623.03 all the way up to $63,294.45. And when we look from October to November, we actually had an overall increase in portfolio value of 5.3%. And we were able to increase our annual dividend income by $58.61, which is what it's all about, right? Making those consistent gains month over month. Now here's a quick look at the dividend income in 2022. Vertically, you can see each dividend cycle, meaning that most companies we hold are going to pay out consistently on a quarterly basis, but each company pays their dividends on a different quarterly cycle. So some companies are going to pay you on that first cycle, January, April, July, and October, while others will pay in February, May, August, and November. For example, I just received a dividend payment from Intel on December 1st, so that company is going to pay me again in March, June, and September. I also like to look at quarter over quarter and see that my dividend income is increasing. And you can see from where we started in quarter 1 of 2022, receiving a total of $27.66, and now up to quarter 3, receiving $535.82. Honestly, you guys, I cannot wait to see what December is going to bring because I really think we're going to finish this year strong. Here is an example of the February, May, August, November dividend cycle that we just finished up, with dividends increasing quarter over quarter up and to the right. In the month of November, I added just over $900 worth of additional holdings, adding to 4 existing positions in the portfolio. My objective right now is really to increase my core position in ETFs, specifically adding 5.5 shares of SCHD and 4 more shares of JEPI. I also had a moment where the blue light special light might have been flashing on Algonquin, so I picked up another 4 shares for a total of $34. And I buy $10 worth of Hershey every Monday. What can I say? I love chocolate. And that got me a whopping 0.17 of a share. In addition, I received $212.71 in dividends, which I just reinvested back into the companies that I received them from. So my total invested in November is $918.34. Now, these two pretty colorful pies are a comparison of the diversification of my portfolio from October to November. And remember, my goal is to shift this portfolio, so I'm strongly anchored with ETFs and a consistent income that they can bring for me. And so I did increase the ETF portion of my pie up by 2.3% in the last month. It's slow progress, you guys, but it's progress nonetheless. And at the same time, I did receive that $212 in dividend income, which again was reinvested into the holdings that I received it from. Now let's look at all the holdings in the portfolio. And right now I do have 33 different ETFs or individual stocks that we're invested in. My top 3 holdings are AbbVie, making up 8.2% of my portfolio, followed by Realty Income at 8.1% and Altria Group at 7.9%. And if we combine SCHD and JEPI together, they make up just under 10% of the portfolio. But now let's do a quick run through of each of these different holdings. I still only own 1 share of Apple. And honestly, you guys, for the market value of that company, I feel like my money might be best used elsewhere. So I'm actually considering just selling out of the Apple position, bringing myself down to 32 holdings, and then reinvesting that into something that's actually going to create some more income for me. Next up is AbbVie, and I have 3.158 shares of AbbVie, followed by Arbor Realty at 10 shares, a newer position for me. Algonquin, I'm up to 177.54 shares. Barings Business Development Company, this is another one that's on my I might get rid of list. I'm pretty heavy in the financial sector right now, and I think that money might be allocated better elsewhere. I feel like there's some risk involved in continuing to hold this company, so that one's also on the watch list. We have 23 shares of Care Trust REIT. We have 12 shares of Chevron, 3.2 shares of Enterprise Products Partners, 9 shares of Home Depot, definitely a position I would like to increase moving forward. HDV, another ETF that I would definitely like to increase my position in. We've got 1.9 shares at the present time. Hershey, I buy $10 every Monday, and I'm up to 0.84. Pretty soon I'll be hitting that 1 share mark. It's super impressive, I'm sure you guys are thinking. I have 91 shares of Intel, 42 shares of JEPI. We have 9.56 shares of Johnson & Johnson. Again, another one that I would like to add more to. 6.3 shares of Lockheed Martin, 90.7 shares of Main Street Capital, monthly payer, 10 shares of Medtronic, 7 shares of 3M, just kind of holding to wait and see what's going to happen here. We've got 105 shares of Altria Group, 81 shares of Realty Income, 40 shares of Olin, 3.7 shares of Pepsi, 14 shares of Pfizer, 15 shares of Procter & Gamble, 14 shares of Philip Morris, 12 shares of Raytheon, 47 and growing shares of SCHD, 20 shares of Stag, also a newer position in our portfolio, 141 shares of AT&T, which is kind of nice because every time I get a dividend payment for them, I'm able to buy at least a share now. We've got 45.7 shares of TD Bank, which again, I'd also like to add more of. T. Rowe Price, 31 shares, and VOO 0.791. And given my holding in that, I might actually flip that out to either JEPI or SCHD as well. So a couple of changes that I may make overall, and I do think I want to add shares of DGRO to that core dividend ETF holding portion of the portfolio. The other thing I like to consider when making decisions about what to add or take out of the portfolio is those companies that continue to raise their dividend year over year. And what I'm doing right now is I'm checking every week to see which companies are actually giving us dividend increases. And maybe you just might be of the same mindset as me. So take a peek at that video next.